Future, Understanding Adhesives, Fillers, and Sealers, presented by SEM. I am Melissa Jolls with RDA IMPACT, and Larry Trexler, Marketing Manager, Technical Services and Training for SEM, is your presenter today. The presentation will take approximately 30 to 45 minutes, and we are recording it, and we will post it on our website under training videos. And if you have questions, you can type those in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen in the chat box, and I will read them off to Larry throughout the presentation. And I always say this, but there are no bad questions. Now I'm going to turn it over to Larry. Larry?
Thanks, Melissa, and I want to thank you and all the RDA IMPACT members for the opportunity to come on here today and talk a little bit about our sealers and our adhesives. There's a lot of things changing in our market right now, so we're going to just kind of touch on a few of those things and help to understand that. A little bit about myself before we get started. I've been with SEM a little over 9 years, but this is my 29th year in this industry. I actually spent most of it, nearly 20 years, working at a jobber paint store. I started as a delivery driver, and about 6 months later moved into the paint department, and that's where I've been ever since. I've had my own body shop where I've done a variety of things like custom paint, salvage rebuilds, and restoration. So just been involved with this industry for a very long time. But today we're just switching pace just a little bit. We are going to be talking about preparing for the future, and the way that we're going to do that is we're going to familiarize. And I apologize, I'm not. Let's see here. Here we go. So we're going to familiarize the members with SEM's dual mix line of adhesives, fillers, and sealers. We're going to, when I worked at the jobber store, one of the things that was probably the most difficult for me was being able to answer questions from guys in the body shop, which was, hey, I'm trying to glue steel to aluminum. Which product would you recommend for that? Or I'm trying to glue plastic to steel. Which product would you recommend for that? And then you open up a catalog, regardless of the brand of adhesive that you were selling, and I've sold several throughout my career. You open that up and you look at it, and you realize pretty quickly you're in pretty deep. Even in our catalog, you open it up and there's nearly 20 items that whether it's an adhesive or a plastic repair filler or a seam sealer. And some of them say that they do the same thing. So what we want to do is we want to kind of simplify that for you and just be able to help simplify our adhesive line. I know that in years past I've actually came out and worked out on the road with several of the members. So you may be familiar with this line. If not, then that's what we're here for today. Our outline is going to be, we want to talk a little bit about the aluminum rivet bonding requirements. Of course, that's something new to our industry, or at least the buzz is right now. We want to talk about how to choose the appropriate adhesives for the job. We're going to talk about simplifying plastic repair, duplicating OEM seam sealer appearances, and replacing sound dampening materials. So to start, we want to prepare you for the future, and as you can see from here on the picture, this is something that's brand new for us. This is the new 2015 F-150, and of course the industry is abuzz right now with all of the information that's coming out about this new F-150. Why is this such a big deal? Well, first of all, aluminum isn't new to our industry, and aluminum has been around, and we've been doing processes like rivet bonding for nearly a decade. But when you look at the F-Series stats, first of all, the F-Series is the best-selling vehicle in the U.S. for the past 32 years. Most people would probably pick up on the next bullet point, which is it's the best-selling pickup for 43 years. But I was even surprised to find out that it was the best-selling vehicle overall for the past 32 years, and that's a really big deal. 763,000 F-Series pickups were sold in the U.S. in 2013. And even though rivet bonding and aluminum has been in our industry for a long time, this is a game changer, and there's a lot of reason behind it. The reason is that all vehicle manufacturers are preparing for what's called the CAFE 2016 to 2025 standard. And just to kind of get into that just a little bit, first of all, what are CAFE standards? CAFE stands for Corporate Average Fuel Economy. And what it is it was a set of standards enacted by Congress in 1975 as a result of the Arab oil embargo. Now, for those who are on here that are old enough that were driving back in 1973 and 1974, the Arab oil embargo created a huge crude oil shortage in here in the United States. And as a result of that, there was also a gasoline shortage. To the point that it was so bad, you couldn't just get in your car and drive to the gas station anytime you wanted to. Depending on your last digit of your license plate number, whether it was an odd or an even number, that would determine when you could go get your fuel for your gas for your car. The goal of these standards was to cut the usage of crude oil. And it's actually evolved into now it also is there to help cut greenhouse gas emissions. Now, why is the 2016-2025 standard so important? The blended standard for cars and light trucks is 54.5 miles per gallon. Now that, I don't want anybody to get excited. Even the new 2015 F-150 does not get 54.5 miles per gallon. The standard for that pickup truck is a little over 30 miles per gallon. But that's a huge jump compared to where we were in 2013 and 2014. As a result of that, Congress went in, and you see the list of manufacturers that are down here: Ford, General Motors, Chrysler, BMW, Honda, and so on. All of those companies have agreed to this new standard. Those companies represent 90% of all the vehicle sales in the United States. So when we talk about this 2015 F-150, yes, it is a big deal. It's going to take some time before we start to see some of these trucks making it into the body shop. But the fact is, in the next couple of years, we are really going to need to step up and train, whether you are a jobber store or whether you're a body shop technician, you're going to need some training to understand how to work on these vehicles. So just kind of getting in a little bit further, how are they going to do it? How are they going to meet these new standards? Those are pretty big standards to try to meet. Well, first of all, Ford already has with the new F-150. They did it by cutting 700 pounds off of that vehicle by using an all-aluminum body construction. In total, they took 4,000 spot welds, or 4,000 rivets, and replaced 7,000 spot welds. So they they cut the vehicle's weight by 700 pounds, and then of course there's also some mechanical things that they're working on as far as the motors, the transmissions, all of the electronics to be able to meet these standards. So that's the first one, the F-150. What about some of the others? Well, first, GM right now is eyeballing 2018 as their release for an all-aluminum body. They're not going to use rivets in their construction. At least they haven't decided to yet. But they're going to continue with welding. So, here we are talking about rivet bonding, but now you're talking about General Motors, which is going to weld. So you're going to need to know about and train on how to do aluminum welding as well. Estimates are that 18% of all the vehicles will have all aluminum bodies by 2025. That's compared with less than 1% of the vehicles on the market right now. So it is going to be a lot of change coming here in the next several years. So what's that going to accomplish? What is these CAFE standards, what are they going to do? Well, their goal is to reduce over 1.8 billion barrels of oil over the program's life. And that reduces greenhouse emissions by 900 million metric tons. And this is probably the most startling of all the facts that I've dug up through the last couple of years. This new standard, just between 2016 and 2025, that is the equivalent of taking 177 million of today's vehicles off of the road. That is big. When you look at the amount of registered vehicles right now is a little over 200 million. You're cutting out almost all of them. So that is a big goal that they're going to have to that we're all going to have to prepare for. So what do you need? First of all, you're going to need training, and the place that you're going to get this training, particularly on the F-150, is through ICAR. So if you're not familiar with ICAR, or if you're not involved with ICAR, if you're going to have a collision center that's going to be doing repairs on F-150s, they're going to need to go and get some training on this thing. Every manufacturer, I'm sure, is going to have different requirements on what can and what can't be done, and they're the ones right now, ICAR is leading the way for Ford in particular to get this training. So far, they've trained 750 dealerships and 860 independents in the last year, and they expect to train another 1,400 shops within the next year. So like I said, if you haven't had this training yet, it would be a good idea to go ahead and get signed up and be able to attend. A couple of other things that, what you're going to find when it comes to dealing with aluminum repair. The biggest part of it is you can't have any cross-contamination. The last thing that you want is to have steel fragments on aluminum fragments or on aluminum panels, and what that causes is a process called galvanic corrosion. And so, having a curtained off area is going to be something that you're going to want in your shop. You're going to need a separate set of tools, which is going to be the most likely, or an extremely good cleaning regimen. And like I said, I've been there. I've been in the shop. It is very difficult to stop and have to clean up a tool to be able to use on different substrates. So you're likely going to need separate tools. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of the tool manufacturers are developing tools that are exactly identical, except they have a red handle on them. And that red handle indicates, hey, this is for aluminum. So it just helps you to be able to identify which is which. So you can take a look at that. But once again, because of all this, equipment purchases, they're going to be necessary if you're going to work on these vehicles. As far as adhesive brand requirements, there are no brand requirements for aluminum repair, and I want to make sure and reiterate that. There are no brand requirements. There is, just like always, we've always dealt with recommendations. We've been in contact with Ford to get the same recommendation, and I'm sure we'll be able to achieve that at some point. But for the time being, if anybody ever tells you you have to use this particular brand of adhesive, that is not true. They will have recommendations on that. Basically, it really boils down to who you trust and who's going to stand behind the product. And that's where SIM has you covered on the products. We do stand behind ours as well, if not better than anybody else in the industry. And that's where we want to kind of get into some of the products. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through 6 of our most popular products. And I know Melissa said that she was taping this, so if you don't have a pen and pencil handy, I would encourage you to be able to come back and at least jot down these 6 products that I'm telling you about, because they will cover literally about 90% of anything that will roll through your shop's doors. The first one, starting with, is multi-purpose panel adhesive. Multi-purpose panel adhesive is what we use for aluminum rivet bonding, but it works for steel, aluminum, SMC, fiberglass, and any combination to each other. This product has a 90-minute working time, so it's among the longest working times in the industry. So when it gets summertime and you have a large panel to work on, this product will bond it. As long as it's clean and has a grind mark, this literally is a one-product solution to panel bonding. No more having to worry about, hey, I've got one panel bonding adhesive for steel and aluminum, and then I have to use this other panel bonding adhesive for SMC and fiberglass. It doesn't matter. With this product, as long as it's clean and dry, it's going to bond it, and it has to have that grind mark in there. So, you know, this really has been a good problem solver for us. As you can see down towards the bottom of the screen, it also has glass beads for consistent bond line thickness. And that's particularly important when we're talking about working with different substrates, especially aluminum and steel. We just talked about that corrosion that can happen, the galvanic corrosion between those two substrates. The glass beads help to keep those two panels separate, and it keeps from having that corrosion. It also has a non-sag formula, which allows you to be able to do up inside of the fender well area without it dripping all over the place. So it's a very nice product for those applications. So one product for panel bonding that does everything. When it comes to plastic repair, we have a product that's called multi-plastic repair material. This is a fairly new product for us here at SIM. Some of you may have been familiar with the product that we had, two of them actually, problem plastic repair material and flexible sim weld. Multi-plastic took the place of flexible sim weld. What makes it so attractive is just like the multi-purpose panel adhesive that we just talked about, multi-plastic repair material is also a one-product solution for all plastic repair. No more having to worry about pulling the bumper off and identifying that little identification mark for what type of plastic it is, whether it's flexible, whether it's not, whether it melts or whether it doesn't. It doesn't matter with this product. It's one product that will do it all. The beauty of our plastic repair materials is they are not only one of, if not the only products on the market that do not require an adhesion promoter. When I have classes that come through here at SIM, and I ask them, you know, how do you make money for a living? And obviously the answer should be pretty simple. We fix cars. And when I ask them the second question, well, how do you make more money? The only way that you can really make money, one, yes, you can start trying to cut back on some materials and cutting corners, but ultimately it's the way that you make more money is to fix more cars. So how do you do that? Well, you have to be able to cut the cycle time of a car in the body shop. And that cycle time is how long does it take from the moment I pull that car in that I can pull it back out. And when you're talking about using adhesion promoters, every time you use an adhesion promoter, you might as well equate 15 to 20 minutes onto that repair process. When you look at all of our competitors, most of the competitors are urethane products. There are a few other epoxies on the market like ours, but they do require an adhesion promoter. Some of them require it as many as 3 times between every sanding step. So you're adding 40 to 45 minutes onto that repair process for doing a plastic bumper repair. And when you look at a simple little 2-inch gash in a plastic piece that you're trying to repair, it could cost is the key word, body shop in labor, in time, and in material, a little over $100 to do that repair with our competitors' products. Multi-plastic repair material, you can do that same exact repair for less than $50. And if you look at the cost of the materials, there's not $2 difference between the materials. It all comes at the savings of time. And that's what we're doing, is we're helping to decrease that cycle time from the car being in the shop. The other thing that's really neat about multi-plastic being an epoxy is that it's the only product you can actually take any glazing putty, polyester glazing putty, and put directly on top of it. You don't need a special glaze that has to go on top of it. We would prefer that you use ours. We have 2 great glazing putties. One is a flexible and one's a non-flexible. But any polyester glazing putty is perfectly acceptable to put right on top of this product. It stays completely flexible throughout the life of its use on the car. It's never going to shrink. It's never going to crack, and it sands exceptionally well. Moving on to the next product or products, we have Quickset 20 and Quickset 50. We use these products as a general purpose adhesive. They can be used on steel and aluminum and SMC and fiberglass, but where we've really found a home for these products is on plastic, but for doing small jobs, for doing tab repairs, headlight brackets, air cleaner boxes. Black plastic underneath the hood of the car is where this product works extremely well. And if you're not familiar with it, the 20 and the 50 stands for seconds. And they are that quick, 20 seconds at 70 degrees. So keep that in mind. Like I said, it is a very, very nice product, both of these, especially if you've got something that maybe you forgot to order a clip or a molding clip and the customer's on the way to pick the car up. This product will glue it back together again, and it's very high strength and sandable and durable. Sound dampening. One of the things we have is a product called panel vibration control material. And if you've ever seen a door skin replaced on a vehicle, there's an intrusion beam or almost like a roll cage bar that runs along the inside of that door. Between the intrusion beam and the door skin are these little dollops of foam. And what panel vibration control material is a product, it's a non-expanding foam. So it's not going to expand and push out on the door skin, but it's made to go back in on those applications. What I always tell guys is listen, when you cut the door skin off, leave as much of the original foam on the door and actually just use the panel vibration control material as a skim coat back on there, just to basically glue it back to the new door skin. The great part about this is because it's not an expanding foam, it gives you 60 minutes of working time so that you can actually apply this product down before you put the door skin on. If you were using a regular foam, you would have to put the door skin on, flip the door onto a shell, and try to apply that product in the exact location, and then hope that you don't get it into a spot where it's going to expand and push out onto the door. So that's what panel vibration control material does. You see it used in door skins, on roof skins, on quarter panels. If you have restoration shops and they have a car acid dipped, it eats all of that foam out of the hoods and on the deck lids as well. So this is a product that you can go back and replace that with. And you'll also see a little star in the top corner that says OEM approved. This product is an OEM approved product for General Motors for a repair that they're doing. So it's a hot commodity right now. But a lot of people don't realize that we have this product, and that's why I wanted to make sure that we just at least talked a couple of minutes about it. Moving on to seam sealing. With the seam sealers, what's pictured here is our standard gray seam sealer. All of our seam sealers are epoxy based, which means they have the ability to go directly to bare metal. It can go on top of primer, but it needs to be, if you're going to put it on top of a primer, it needs to be either a direct-to-metal urethane or it needs to be an epoxy. Probably one of the biggest mistakes people will make, not just with our seam sealers, but with several other manufacturers, is putting seam sealer down on top of a self-etch primer. None of us actually recommend putting it down on top of a self-etch primer because of the acid content of those primers. So just a nice little tip for you there. These products are also sandable and paintable in 30 minutes. And when I mean sandable, you can sand it with 80 grit in 30 minutes. It's done doing everything it's ever going to do. One of the things we talk about is being able to match the OEM textures from seam sealers on cars. And you see a lot of different types that are out there. I've got pictured here a photo of our VersaTip. And a VersaTip is a little attachment that snaps onto the end of our mixing tips, and you can cut it or you can leave it like it is, and it will lay out an 1.5 inch wide bead. or you can cut it all the way down to where it will lay out a nice 1/2 inch wide bead. So it's a nice little tip that you can use to match some of those. Also, all of our seam sealers are sprayable. This is a 2-part or 2-component seam sealer. So you're going to need a pneumatic applicator, and you're going to need our sprayable attachment that hooks up to that. And you can go out and you can spray different textures as well. So, you know, one of the things that I wanted to talk about at the end is just making sure, if you don't know who your sim rep is, if you haven't contacted your sim rep, if you'd like to see any of this, get in touch with us. Call us. There's an 800 number at the end. Call us. We'll get you in contact with them, and they'd be glad to come out and show you these products. The next one is actually the self-leveling. We have 2 self-leveling seam sealers, but the most sold one is our high build self-leveling. The difference between the two is the high build has a thicker viscosity, and this product was particularly developed for the Ford minivans that have those 1.5 inch wide channels that are filled with self-leveling seam sealer. The thinner version of our regular self-leveling, where it starts to contour down at the front windshield, would have a tendency to run up to the little tape dam that you've built. It would run over it and continue to run because it was a runny product. High build has what we consider a controlled flow. So it's a thicker viscosity. You can actually stop it about 1 inch, 1.5 inches short of where you want it to run to. It will continue to run, but it will stop itself in some cases. So it just gives you better control. And once again, this product too is paintable in 30 minutes. So just to kind of get into a couple of the resources, you know, and before we do, let me just kind of reiterate that those 6 products that we just went through, those are the workhorses of the SIM products line. We have more than that, and we have little niche products that are great products to be used in certain applications. But these 6 that I just talked about are the main ones in our line. So hopefully this helps to simplify it just a little bit. As far as when you open up a catalog for the first time, you're not blinded by the fact that there are 20 products in there. This will help you to be able to say, hey, that one panel bonding adhesive, it just does it all. So, we also have some training manuals. These training manuals are available on our website, but we have one that's called, it's our aluminum and steel rivet bonding manual. If you go onto the product page on our website for multi-purpose panel adhesive, you'll find this down in the resource section listed, so you can download this. It kind of goes through a little brief history like I did a moment ago about CAFE standards and why we're doing the things that we're doing and trying to stay up to date with the latest applications that are out there. And then it takes you through some of the rivet bonding process. So once again, the rivet bonding process that's listed on here is just a kind of a generic rivet bonding process that's been around for a long time. Every car manufacturer from here going forward may have some different procedures, so it's key to keep that in mind. They do need some training. The technicians need training on this from the manufacturers. We also have, like I said before, our website resources. If you're looking for safety data sheets or technical data sheets, videos, tech tips, SOPs, training manuals, we have it all on our website. And I encourage you, if you have not been to our website, or even if you have been, it's been a while, you may be surprised to see that we have released or launched a brand new website here in the last several months. And it is very impressive. It's very easy to navigate through, to find the products, to find the information that you're looking for. So I encourage you, go there, look at some of the information. You can download any of the stuff that we were just talking about here today, but it's a great, great resource. And just showing you just a couple of pages here, as you can see, about midway down on that page, the product resources, and this This is the page for multi-purpose panel adhesive. So you can see under product resources, you have technical data sheets. We have a metal bonding SOP. Down at the very bottom there, it says aluminum and steel rivet bonding training manual. And that was the manual that I just showed you just a few moments ago. So all of that information is right there at your fingertips. One of the beauties I also want to say about the website, it doesn't matter if you go there on a computer, if you're on a tablet, or if you're on a smartphone. The beauty of this system is that it actually maximizes itself to work with your screen. So no pinching and zooming like you see on some other websites. You go there and you've got the information right there. So it's very easy. So at this point, Melissa, I will open it up. I don't know if anybody's sent any questions in, but I'll be glad to take some.
We don't have any yet, but if anybody does want to ask anything, please type it in, and we'll be happy to give it to Larry. Doesn't look like we have any. We will follow up by sending everybody on the webinar Larry's information. So if you do have questions, you can ask him. You can email him. And we want to thank everybody for attending this presentation, and please continue to send us your suggestions for future webinars, and we'll be in touch with training opportunities. Thank you. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.